All right, hey guys, it's Monday, new week. We are almost through with this book. We'll actually finish with it by Wednesday, I think. So here we go. The Dream. Hey, notice on this poem how really different it looks. You know how the author, remember this is free verse, but notice how the author separates the words and the sentences. I want you to think about why you think with this poem it's so much different than, say, the next poem. Okay, The Dream. Piano, my silent mother, I can touch you. You are cool and smooth and willing to stay with me. Stay with me. Talk to me. Uncomplaining, you accept the cover to your keys, and still you make room for all that I place there. We close our eyes together, and together find that stillness like a pond when the wind is quiet and the surface glazes, gazing unblinking at the blue sky. I play songs that have only the pattern of myself in them, and you hum along, supporting me. You are the companion to myself, the mirror with my mother's eyes. July 1935. That might be my very favorite one in the entire book. All right. Midnight Truth. I am so filled with bitterness. It comes from the dust. It comes from the silence of my father. It comes from the absence of my ma. I could have loved her better. She could have loved me, too. But she's rock and dust and wind now. She's carved stone. She's holding my stone brother. I have given my father so many chances to understand, to reach out, to love me. He once did. I remember his smile, his easy talk. Now there's nothing easy between us. Sometimes he takes notice of me, like coming after me in the dust. But mostly I'm invisible. Mostly I'm alone. My father's digging his own grave. He calls it a pond, but I know what he's up to. He is rotting away, like his father, ready to leave me behind in the dust. Well, I'm leaving first. July 1935. Out of the dust. Do you think this is where she comes out of the dust? Let's see. This is not a dream. There's no comfort in dreams. I try to contain the ache as I leave my bed. I try to still my heart as I slip from my room with my kerchief of dimes. Moving slowly down the stairs, I cross through the kitchen, taking only some biscuits, and leave my father's house. It's the middle of the night, and I hear every sound inside me, outside me. I go, knowing that I'll die if I stay, that I'm slowly, surely smothering. I walk through the calm night under the stars. I walk to where the train stops long enough for a long-legged girl to latch on, and as my heart races, I feel the earth tremble beneath me, and then the sound of sharp knives, metal against metal, as the train pulls up to the station. Once I might have headed east to Mr. Roosevelt. Now I slip under cover of darkness inside a boxcar and let the train carry me west, out of the dust. August 1935. So she's leaving. She just jumped on a train. She says she's heading west. Now remember, she's 13 years old. She's a girl. And she just got into a boxcar on a train at night by herself. Think about how scary that must have been. And that she's so willing to accept that right now, to leave everything she knows. It's kind of scary. All right. Gone west. I am stiff and sore in 2 endless days on this train. I have burned in the desert, shivered in the mountains. I have seen the camps of Dust Bowl migrants along the tracks. There was one girl. I saw her through the slat in the boxcar. She stared up at the passing train. She stood by the tracks watching, and I knew her. August 1935. Something lost, something gained. He climbs into my car. He's dirty, and he has a sour smell. His eyes are ringed by the soil that comes from riding trains. But there's a deeper shadow to those eyes, like ashes, like death. He needs a hair comb and a shave, and a mending needle applied to his pants. He speaks to me. "Where you from, miss?" he wants to know. He shows me a picture of his family, a wife, 3 boys. The photograph is all he carries, that and the shredding, stinking clothes on his back. I feed him 2 of the stale biscuits I've been hoarding and save the rest. I'll be hungry tonight. what with giving my dazed biscuits away, but I can see the gaunt of hunger in his cheeks. He asks if I have any water, and I shake my head, my tongue thick with thirst. He eats the biscuits. He doesn't care they're caked with dust. He finishes eating, and crumbs stick to his mustache. He's staring hard at me, and his eyes water. I've done it again, he says, taken food from a child. I show him my cloth bag with more biscuits. At home, he said, I couldn't feed them. Couldn't stand the baby always crying, and my wife, always that dark look following me. Couldn't take no more. Lost our land. They tractored us out, so we'd had to leave. Rented a while, then moved in with Lucille's kin. Couldn't make nothing grow. I nodded. I know. We talked as the train rocked, as the cars creaked, as the miles showed nothing but empty space. We talked through the pink of the setting sun and into the dark. I told him about Ma dying. I told him about my father and how the thing that scared us both the most was being left alone. And now I'd gone and left him. I told him about the piano and Arlie Wanderdale and how I wasn't certain of the date, but I thought it might be my birthday. But he was sleeping by then, I think. He was like tumbleweed. Ma had been tumbleweed too, holding on for as long as she could, then blowing away on the wind. My father was more like the sod, steady, silent, and deep, holding on to life with reserves underneath to sustain him, and me, and anyone else who came near. My father stayed rooted, even with my tests and my temper, even with the double sorrow of his grief and my own. He had kept a home until I broke it. When I woke, the man was gone, and so were my biscuits. But under my hat, I found the photograph of his family. The wife and 3 boys. Maybe the photograph was left in trade for the biscuits. Maybe it was a birthday gift, the one thing he had left to give. The children in the picture were clean and serious, looking out with a certain longing. The baby had his eyes. On the back of the photograph, in pencil, was the address of his family in Moline, Kansas. First chance, I'd send the picture back, let his wife know he was still alive. I got off the train in Flagstaff, Arizona. A lady from a government agency saw me. She gave me water and food. I called Mr. Hardley from her office and asked him to let my father know I was coming home. August 1935. So, after being alone on a train for 2 days, she meets some strange guy, and thankfully all he did was steal her biscuits and tell her his story about how he pretty much gave up on life. And then that made her think about how her mom was like tumbleweed in the wind and her dad was like sod. Think about the people in your family. Is there somebody that you can say is, strong and steady like a rock, or somebody that tumbles through the wind and goes wherever the wind blows them? Not literally, but you know what I mean. So think about that. And then at the end it says she used a lady's phone to call back to home and let her dad know that she was coming home. So she went off on her own, and now she's decided it's not for her. She's going home. We'll find out what happens tomorrow.